Hello and good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, or PAC, will begin closed-door proceedings on February 24th to examine the rise in health insurance premiums and private hospital charges. Deputy Chairperson Teresa Kok says the findings will be presented in the next Dewan Rakyat session in June.
Jawatankuasa ini akan memanggil semua pihak berkepentingan dalam industri insurans kesihatan, hospital swasta, Kementerian Kewangan, Kementerian Kesihatan, Bank Negara Malaysia, pertubuhan bukan kerajaan NGO dan juga ahli akademik. Sebanyak 10 prosiding telah dijadualkan untuk isu ini dan ia adalah sesi tertutup dengan sehingga prosiding selesai dan laporan dibentangkan di Dewan Rakyat.
Teresa made the announcement following a PAC public hearing on health insurance premium hikes, private hospital charges, and their impact on public healthcare. A total of 550 people attended the public hearing in Parliament.
More than 500,000 SPM graduates from 2020 to 2023 did not pursue tertiary education. Higher Education Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir reveals that the highest dropout rate was in 2021, with 180,680 students opting out. He added that while the numbers declined to 103,301 in 2023, the issue remains critical. The Higher Education Ministry has ramped up efforts to encourage students to further their studies. Initiatives such as outreach programs in schools and matriculation centres aim to provide information, awareness and motivation for students to pursue higher education. The government has introduced outreach programs and the Jom Masuk U or JMU initiative, engaging over 113,000 participants this year to promote education opportunities. But challenges persist. Financial constraints, job market shifts and post-pandemic impacts may be factors. The Education Ministry has outlined 8 key priorities for educational reforms set to begin with the 2025 and 2026 school session. Education Director General Azman Annan said these priorities include addressing student dropout rates, improving educational leadership, enhancing teacher professionalism, and empowering students' literacy and numeracy skills.
He added that the ministry is introducing a new school classification system, focus schools, aspiration schools, and inspiration schools to provide targeted support for each institution's needs. Additionally, the Malaysia Education Development Plan 2026 to 2035 and the school curriculum for 2027 will emphasize flexibility and technology to keep the education system competitive. Monitoring systems like the School Support Tracker will be used to evaluate the reform's effectiveness. Education leaders are urged to prioritize values such as etiquette, character, and data-driven management.
We'll go for a short break. Stay with us.
Kerap menggaruk kulit kepala disebabkan keluh mumur, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head and Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi keluh mumur dan kegatalan. Bebas keluh mumur sehingga 100%. Head and Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
Kaulah tuanku.
Now in September, a Cambodian domestic worker with a valid work permit was arrested here and deported by Malaysian authorities at the request of her home government. The reason? Her social media posts had criticized Cambodian leaders. Her case is among the high-profile instances of transnational repression within Malaysia's borders in recent years. Douglas Teo from the End Transnational Repression Alliance speaks on the implications of these cases, especially in the context of the Myanmar junta.
Deportation is one of the key tactics right, that people that authoritarian governments use to facilitate transnational repression. It's one of the key aspects of this, no? And and the reality is that Malaysia has engaged in a lot of deportations over the years, right? There were many news that come out. Over a period of 1.5 years, there were 12,000 Myanmaris that were deported from Malaysia, no? And these 12,000 refugees that are deported back, of course, they are in risk of being tortured, being killed in the military camps after they are returned. So effectively, we are actually fueling the conflict by deporting people to Myanmar. I think what's important to also establish here is the fact that the military junta is fighting a losing battle, right? They are losing a lot of ground over the past 4 years, and they need forced conscription to actually bolster their military ranks. And that's what they've been doing with the young people. And our deportation back to Myanmar actually helps them do this. So in effect, every deportation that we do actually helps to prolong the conflict even further. So that's probably not the best way to move forward in terms of the ASEAN peace process. No?
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim himself has previously described the ongoing conflict in Myanmar as atrocious, emphasizing the need to secure peace. However, Douglas mentions the inconsistencies in this stance, pointing to Malaysia's complicit role in transnational repression.
I believe the word that Prime Minister Anwar was using is atrocious, right? The conflict. He called it atrocious. At the same time, there is the case of the advisors that he's recruited, the ex-Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, who has a track record of transnational repression himself too. I think the international community will look at this and say, hey, isn't it a little bit hypocritical that we are saying one thing but we are doing another? So definitely I think the record setting has to start at home, right? With the protection of refugees. Communities in exile are the most affected by transnational repression, right? Because of the chilling effects of transnational repression. If you silence dissent, people get scared. They don't voice out as much. They are always in fear. And at the same time, if we are complicit in deporting people back to Myanmar where they are unsafe, that's effectively collaborating on human rights violation.
Douglas outlined steps for Malaysia to uphold refugee rights, as it is the ASEAN 2025 chairman.
The first thing to do is really to cease deportations. It's really basic international law, right? That non-refoulement is a basic principle that that all countries have to abide by, regardless of actually whether you are a signatory of the UNHCR Convention. Another thing is the Directive 23. Basically, the National Security Council has produced a sort of guideline to govern refugees. Until today, it's not seen. It's important because supposedly it already outlines some basic tenets of refugee protection, refugee right to work, and how we register and determine the status of refugees. So we'd love to see that too. And I think with the civil society's involvement, we can help to make that better. It's good for the Malaysian public to remember is that these asylum seekers are here not to take away our jobs. They are not here because the grass is greener, not because they want to earn money, right? But because they are running away from conflict. And given the situation in Myanmar, I think there was a statistic that says that it's the second worst conflict after Palestine. Currently, we know that most of them will be here because of the conflict, because their lives are at risk, and we have to get this message out. They are here because they don't have a choice, and as neighbors, as ASEAN is our backyard, we can help. We can help protect the refugees.
Israel claims that they will make Hamas pay for not releasing the body of hostage Shiri Bibas as agreed, says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He accuses the group of violating the ceasefire deal by replacing Shiri's body with that of an unidentified Gaza woman in a coffin. Hamas has yet to issue a response to these allegations. The group had returned the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages on Thursday as part of the Gaza ceasefire agreement, which came into effect on January 19th. However, the Israeli military said forensic testing revealed that one of the bodies was neither Shiri nor any other hostage. Her sons Ariel and Kfir, as well as another hostage, Odette Lifshitz, were all positively identified. Both Israel and Hamas had agreed to exchange 33 hostages for around 1,900 prisoners by the end of the first 6 weeks of the ceasefire. Talks on progressing to the next phase of the deal, under which the war would end permanently, were due to begin earlier this month but have yet to start. China, Thailand and Myanmar are in talks to establish a joint mechanism to address the rise of cross-border telecom fraud. Police authorities in the 3 countries have also intensified efforts to crack down on scam centers in Myanmar's Myawaddy region. In response, Thailand has implemented measures such as cutting off power, internet and fuel supplies to the region. It also increased patrols along its border in Myanmar to block human trafficking cases linked to fraud operations. Myanmar, meanwhile, launched an extensive crackdown on telecom fraud operations in Myawaddy, arresting suspects and rescuing Chinese nationals trapped in the area. The first group of Chinese citizens suspected of involvement in telecom fraud were repatriated from Myanmar to China on Thursday. A Japanese group comprising of high-level officials, including a former prime minister, is drafting plans for Elon Musk's Tesla to invest in Nissan. According to the Financial Times, this comes after Nissan's $60 billion merger talks with Honda Motor collapsed last week. The proposal, led by former Tesla board member Hiromichi, is backed by ex-premier Yoshihide Suga and his former aide. The group is reportedly hopeful that Tesla would become a strategic investor, citing ambitions to acquire Nissan's plants in the US. In recent weeks, Nissan has been seeking a strategic partner in the tech industry, with some board members suggesting Apple and Tesla as ideal candidates. Following the Financial Times report, the company's shares closed 9.6% higher. US President Donald Trump threatens BRICS nations could face up to 150% tariffs from the United States for trying to destroy the dollar. He was speaking at a Republican Governors Association meeting where he vowed to ease regulations in the country.
We haven't heard from the BRICS states lately, but he said that there wasn't much we could do about it. There was a lot. It took once, literally, they said, sir, what about the BRICS states? They're going to take over the dollar, the sanctity of the dollar. They're going to create a new currency to rule the world. I said, no, they're not. They said, yes, they are, sir. They said it. I said, no, they're not. Tell them 150% tariff, plus we're not going to do business with them, and that includes China.
Now that wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thanks for watching. Good night and have a good weekend.